you let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Yes. Hello, everybody. I know it's a different setting. It's obviously a different time. It's a premiere instead of a live. But some of you are here for the live taping, and that's just good for you. I understand everybody is just doing their thing on this Thursday. It's 12 noon on the 9th of July. When you see this, most people see this, it'll be at 7 o'clock, the normal time. And at that time, I will already be in New York City and hanging out and getting ready to see Anthony perform for the Bon Scott tribute show put on by Bon Scott of AC/DC's estate. So that'll be nice. And at some point, who knows, I will actually probably pop up live. So just make sure that you have your notifications on, especially on YouTube, because that's just that's the most convenient mobile app at this point, one where I can see the chat and everything combined. But what are we doing today for this special little something? Well, I'm sitting over here, and I can't wait to bring on this guy. I haven't seen him in a while. Well, I have seen him. We've spoken. We've done our thing. We've stayed in touch because we're friends. And usually on a day that he comes on the show, I open up. It's almost been like a tradition. I open up with something that has to do with a crazy Florida man story or somebody that ends up naked running through the park. I have no clue. A sex robot or something like that. Anyway, it's been a while since we've had our good friend James, Black Conservative Patriot, on the show, a proud Christian, devoted family man, proud patriot, #1 best-selling author. I actually have two of his latest books right here, Paid on the First and Lead Your Family Like a Rockstar CEO. I mean, he does it all, and he's just a really good friend. It's good to have you back, BCP. How the hell has everything been?
Everything's been great, Frank, as of late. For those, we do have common family members that are supporting your show and supporting my show. So some of them already know. But my wife just beat cancer, and so did my mother-in-law. So we feel truly blessed to be in a state of good health.
I'm so happy to hear that, because you told me about this after the fact. We shared something. When I knew that Lauren was pregnant, I made sure that you and the wife knew about it as soon as I can get the word out there to the mountain time. You bounce between mountain time and Pacific time, and you told me about all the hurdles over there, and I'm so happy that everything is going well with the wife and your family. Your children are all very industrious young Americans, and it's just always great to get the good news from you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been blessed, and I'm just glad my wife didn't, and nothing against those of you who did, but I'm glad that my wife didn't get the jab, because it could have been even worse had she had complications coming from that. We're all pure bloods, if you will. But unfortunately, my mother-in-law has had accelerated health issues, and we can pretty much trace it back to her being corralled by other voices to go ahead and get that injection. So we feel truly blessed to be where we're at. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it.
At the end of the day, hopefully people learned whatever lessons they could, and that we are just concentrate on nothing but better, improved health, because it doesn't when you're in poor health and suddenly your mind, your consciousness is really brought down to the focal point of life or death or something, even something that is just chronic. Maybe it's not terminal, but it's just chronic and it's pulling your attention away from the simpler joys that we had. You start realizing that even the daily stresses that we have about money, the daily stresses we have about one thing or another, in the face of bad health, they actually become privileges to be stressed. You know, I can imagine there's a lot of people who are in very tough positions right now, health wise, that wish they were wondering about how to make an extra $1,000 a month instead of whether or not they're going to be here next year. You know, so it's health is everything, and I'm glad to hear that you're reporting everybody's in good health.
Thank you, Frank.
So I don't know, man. I mean, I can't remember the last time you were on the show for a roundup. You and I, we have a penchant for taking the news and being able to just try to get a 30,000-foot view of it. And, you know, we've been a little bit more in the muck in the past. But as of right now, where's your main focus? I know that you're not completely out of, you can't be out of the loop. You're in finance. You're in so many other, you know, speculative parts of the economy and other there too. So you have to know where the world is going. You have to know where consumer confidence is and all that stuff. So therefore, you can't be completely detached from the news. How are you seeing things?
Well, I'm seeing things. Well, obviously we have the flare up again of Iran, a conflict. For those, you know, I've I don't know why, but I've surprised and shocked some people because, you know, I've been a very staunch supporter of President Trump, but have not been happy with all of his policies, especially when it comes to foreign policy. Um, I I've been more of, and this is for years now, more of a I wouldn't say isolationist, but I definitely don't like us meddling in other countries' politics and going to war for other countries' interests or what have you. And even I push back on the Monroe Doctrine. So I have what's on my radar and what I'm looking at is I'm really trying to focus, especially on my show, is domestic issues because so many things are going on in Iran and what was happening in Venezuela and now once again the Greenland has come back up into the conversation again. Cuba. Can we just get the damn SAVE Act passed? Can we throw some asses in jail for stealing the election of 2020? Can we just have some advancement in our safety, security, and trust in our election system? So that's what's been my focus. Happy to see what Harmeet Dhillon over at the DOJ is doing, going to monitor our upcoming elections. There is some positive news on the FBI really going looking into things in. They have a deadline even to look at what happened in Fulton County
In Georgia, yeah.
2020. They've got another, I don't know, less than 2 weeks to turn that in. So it seems like there are things happening and they're happening at a fast pace, which I like to see because we are here in July of 2026 and no one's gone to jail or been punished or indicted or anything or even in a courtroom, really, for Russiagate, for the 2020 debacle, for lying about the pandemic and the supposed cure for the pandemic. So, you know, I think we've been patient for the last 10 years, and my patience is wearing thin. But I'm glad to see that there seems to be some sort of what I call speed of implementation in the business world. But it seems like there's a late SOI going on at the DOJ where all of a sudden there's these deadlines or what have you, and there seems to be some sort of renewed interest and urgency to getting to the bottom of these shenanigans before election 2026, midterms 2026. So that has me a little bit back on the positive side of the scale.
Those are things I'm always looking out for here too, because I don't care about Iran. I never did. I never cared about all of the reasons why we were given that we should care about having some kind of a severe military intervention out there and whatnot. I always just feel like it flies in the face of common sense that a regional power in any part of the world that is posing some kind of an existential threat to all people, both. I mean, when you're talking about nuclear threats, you're talking about existential issues to both enemies and allies. And if that is really a situation where we're always on the brink out there with a nation state like Iran, then why the hell must it be us that is, or any Western power that needs to mediate? And you would think that the biggest interest would be from people in the area. So that's why historically I haven't really given a damn about all the reasons why we need to make sure that they are a neutered country that comes to heel. And because that really has, you take your pick with any North African or Middle Eastern country, and I feel like that has been that's been the story with each and every one of them individually, until naturally they fall like dominoes, and things are shaken up out there, and nothing ever gets better. So yeah, I wanted to hear about heads rolling over here and indictments and big trials, grand juries, people going to jail. I mean, I saw the other day that there was some sort of a request to open up the files, whatever files there are on Seth Rich. Something like that is interesting to me, because that would lead people, an investigation like that would lead people to a situation that has nothing really to do about who made a contribution to a PAC that is like $2,000 above the limit or something like that. We're talking about murder in that respect. That's something that doesn't have a statute of limitations that would take down an entire cadre of people in one fell swoop. I want to hear about stuff like that. I want to see it. But of course, we're looking at the clock. We're checking our watches, and we see nearly one half of the last term of President Trump gone. And just like, come on already. Stop preparing to prepare and go for it. And yeah, I know we are on a need to know basis. Apparently we don't need to know anything, though.
And when they do want us to know something, it's usually lies, misinformation, disinformation, or what have you. The reality, I think we all realize, is even though we got someone like President Trump, who was America first. Yeah, and I know that upset some people, was America first. But doesn't matter. It seems like I learned this from being a Tea Partier years ago, is you get people with good intentions and they get in there, and then they either get sidelined and silenced and crushed. They fold into the establishment, or they get chewed out. And that's what happens, like, for instance, whether you like them or not, agree with everything they do or not. For instance, Thomas Massie, who I really like the guy. I have tons of respect for him. They just get booted out. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, same thing. She's not always my cup of tea. But to just get spit out and chewed out by Trump and supposed MAGA. And of course, we have all of the crazy things happening with the Charlie Kirk investigation, in quotes. I'm actually flying this evening back to my home in Utah. I'm currently in Pacific time. You made mention of that, but yeah, I am blessed enough to have multiple homes and bounce back and forth. Generally, to escape the crazy politics of California, I refuse to pay a dime except for my property taxes here, and even that hurts. But the trial going on with Tyler Robinson, the Oswald of our time. I don't know, the Patsy of the big Patsy of our time. So there's just so many disappointments. But one thing that I give credit to President Trump and his administration for, they're keeping their promise when it comes to immigration, even with the disappointments coming from the Supreme Court, and the courts always fighting what it means to be an American citizen and have citizen rights and immigration. I think that's been a big win. And if he can leave in 2 years from now, plus from now, and give us a SAVE Act or made meaningful moves with his Department of Justice and Congress to actually secure our elections, I will give, even with all of the missteps, I think, internationally on when it comes to foreign policy, I will give this administration a huge win.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, I am. There are people out there. The reason why I like talking to you about stuff like this is because there are people out there who they don't seem to have they don't seem to have any more flexibility for just calling balls and strikes. this is good, this is bad, I don't like this, or I do like this, but it doesn't really stop them from rooting for things to improve. I don't necessarily. I always wait and say at the end of something we're going to be able to go back and give it a report card. Right now, from my vantage point, yeah, it's been a little frustrating only because I see things like Iran as side quests, and it's just something that we don't need right now. I just really don't think that we need it right now. The people in the Middle East they're not babies. They can take care of themselves, and I don't know. It's just not right now. If it has to be addressed, can we do? We have so many other things going on here. So I would say that you've been more disappointed than happy
with the Trump administration.
Just everything for the last year and a half.
Yeah, disappointed. Absolutely disappointed. Yeah, it's,
in the efforts or the outcomes, because obviously there's a lot of hurdles still thrown his way.
No, yeah. I mean, here's my take on it, Frank. And I don't know how long we're going to be conversing, but give me a moment here to just kind of remind ourselves what kind of momentum we had before they unleashed that plague on us, which allowed them to do all kinds of skullduggery in 2020. So things were rocking and rolling. There was there was huge amount of pushback, animus, and roadblocks thrown at Trump and his agenda. But the Trump train was, an electric locomotive, diesel, like tons of torque, just going at it. 2020, it slowed us down. Then at the end of 2020, obviously, we didn't get the proper results with their shenanigans. And then we got Biden. And so we lost momentum, right? So I'm a business consultant, and I own three businesses, from healthcare to services, and obviously what I do as my under the BCP brand. So one thing that is a rule of business is momentum. Like when you've got momentum, the first thing you do is you don't take your foot off the throttle. You go balls to the walls. You go pedal to the metal, and you ride that momentum, because it's easier to sustain momentum than it is to build momentum. So that's what we get when they snuck Biden in. We lost momentum, and then let's say we were at a +2 with Biden coming in and pretty much reversing everything that Trump did, even good stuff, just out of spite, just out of TDS, whatever you want to call it. And when I say Biden, I mean the people who are pulling the strings for Biden. Let's not. I think we all know that Biden wasn't doing a damn thing really, except crapping in his Depends. But when Biden came in, we got into below zero. We got -1, so we're in a deficit. So Trump comes in, not building from where he started previous to Biden. Not even to where he started before, but in many respects, he came at a deficit. So I gave him grace, going, okay, he's coming at a deficit. It's going to be a while to overturn this. Plus, there's a lot of animus. And we saw that from the very beginning. He had the executive orders. He had petitions to the Supreme Court. And everything was with these, what I call hacktivist judges. They're activist judges. I call them hacktivist judges, coming in and trying to block everything that he did. So that was frustrating in the beginning, but that was to be expected. That was absolutely to be expected. But then all of a sudden, it seems like all of a sudden, President Trump changes his tune on Jeffrey Epstein, even calling us stupid Republicans. And that was just weird at the worst. And I don't believe President Trump did anything with minors or children or what have you. But I do believe that a lot of people who are supporting him may be in danger of legitimately or illegitimately having their businesses and their reputations sullied by a full investigation. People who are the money men. I believe that President Trump came in more independent, money-wise, when he became president the first time. The second time, I think he's got he's had more people throw money behind him, and I think he's a little bit more beholden than he was the first time around to donors and lobbyists and other voices in his ear. So that's just disappointing. Then to see him turn on, whether you agree or like them or not, Candace Owens and MTG and primarying Massey, who's been more MAGA. Dude, Massey's been more MAGA and more actual conservative than President Trump's MAGA. And then him embracing other people that weren't for him, that actually have dual allegiances to other countries and America, that just left a sour taste in my mouth. And then, the bombing of Iran last year, I wasn't for it. I lost people on my YouTube show because I'm like, this is not the president I voted for. And they all bought into, not all, but I bought into the noise. Oh, they have a nuke. Okay, great. Last year, we told that we took out their capabilities. Why the hell are we back there again this year if we took care of it last year? And President Trump himself told us that they're years away now, that we sent them back years. So why is it, 12, 15 months later, we're still in this BS? So, that kind of stuff just chaps my ass and makes me really, really disappointed, especially with the loss of focus on what we really wanted. We wanted justice for Epstein, not going to get that. We wanted the deep state to, a couple things here and there with Comey, but Brennan and Clapper, they're a little nervous, but that's it. They're a little nervous. Nothing's happened. Seth Rich, so I haven't gotten to the bottom of Seth Rich, like that even giving us a little bone. And then we go into Iran, and like you said, a side quest, total absolute distraction. It's BS, and so I have been disappointed. And I'm not tribal, man. I've been a conservative. I was a Union Democrat. My grandpa was an auditor for the Union. I grew up in a very Democrat, very liberal family, classic liberal family. But big government. Government should solve all problems. Family. And as a black 18-year-old, I became a diehard libertarian / conservative. As a Christian, I've always been socially conservative. But I became a black conservative and a vocal one at 18. So like, I'm not tribal. I support Trump, but when he goes off the rails, I'm going to call him out for it. And that upsets some people because a lot of people are tribal on both sides. Something that as a free spirit and an open mind and a guy whose my only allegiance really is to my wife, Maria, and my 4 children and my now grandson. Ooh, I can't believe. Do I look like a grandpa?
No, you don't. No,
but that's why I've been disappointed. So
I get you.
Let me get off my soapbox rant ended.
No. Hey, whoa! You haven't been on the show in at least 2 years. It feels like 2 years. I wanted to see what you're thinking, and I can't imagine that you are too far off from what a lot of people in my audience are feeling there too. Some are a little bit more optimistic about things. I'm always cautiously optimistic until the game board has been cleared and put away and back into the closet. I always feel like there's got to be a couple of moves left. And so like you say, I'm never going to be, it's different with the Yankees. Like when the Yankees start losing, and they start playing like shit, I get into a place where I'm just like, good. I want them now. I am rooting against the Yankees, and I want them to be absolutely embarrassed because how dare you even waste people's time with this poor excuse for baseball? It's not like that when it comes to things of actual consequence. I don't even want Joe Biden to be a failure because that means that we're all screwed. The problem is in perception. Some people see what we know would be failure, socialism, regulation, overregulation of economies as a win. We know that it's going to hurt anybody who has any kind of a desire to be successful and independent. So I don't want anybody to be a failure when it comes to taking the reins in government, because I know what that is going to do to everyday people like you and I. And when we're talking about the federal government, it doesn't matter where the hell we move, whether you'll have better time living in, you'll have a better economic existence living in a place like Florida or Tennessee or Utah versus California or New York. But I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of a shanty you set up in the mountains and the valleys of Montana. Federal taxes and regulations are following you everywhere, and that's the thing that's really killing me right now. I want to see that the biggest knife that could be stuck to the enemies of the United States is in cutting off all of this illegal, unconstitutional grant money for all these programs, at least giving the states notice that they need to start preparing for a sunsetting of all these programs. They have to find a way to fund them stateside or whatever the hell it is. And I want to start seeing radical things like that happen. We'll talk about that in just actually, one thing I will say is interesting and I want to know what you think, because it has to do with the central bank, and I don't know if you covered it yet. But the new central bank chief, or whatever the hell his name is, he was being asked questions by press a few weeks ago. And I was listening to what he said about regulation and how he wants to actually get the Federal Reserve out of the speculation business, and to actually, believe the comment was that he wanted to get out of the way of the true economy. And it was in an effort to quell people's what has now really become the core of consumer confidence these days, is not only, okay, well, who's in charge, who's in the White House, who's in charge of the Congress, and what are their ideas about what the economy should be, but also when it comes down to interest rates and everything else like that. He made a really interesting comment for somebody from the Federal Reserve, and saying that he wanted to stay out of the way of the true economy, which is, of course, an economy based on unbridled human interaction, human desire, all that other stuff. And he didn't want everybody to make future decisions on, future financial decisions based on what the central bank might do, and just to actually go out there and be the economy. I thought that was interesting. I don't know what that yields as far as results, but what did you think about that? Did you see that comment made?
I saw it and didn't really think too much on it. I think saying what I'm being by that is not downplaying it. Just my headspace wasn't really in analytical mode when I saw that. But overall, I agree with the sentiment, and I've always agreed with the sentiment, because if you go back to, and I know you're more of a history buff than I am when it comes to early American history, our early thoughts on central banking and bankers in general. It never should have been that a free market society is waiting to see what a central bank does. That never should have been the case. And I remember when I have a degree in economics, for those that don't know, and as I was getting my degree, and they were trying to tell me about the power of the central bank. And I'm also taking a university course on the Constitution. I started to, you start to see very quickly how there is a disconnect between us being a free and prosperous people, but also our markets, individuals, consumers being beholden, waiting to see what a central bank is going to be doing, what their next interest rate move is, what the next regulation move is going to be, what they're going to be doing with banking and what have you. So if you're a person like me that wants to have, I'm not the extreme where I'm into complete chaos, but I believe in obviously very, very limited regulation and the enforcing of contracts and property laws and property rights and what have you. But I see it as anything that is going to diminish the power of a central bank is always going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. I would love to see all types of power centers diminished in size, scope, and influence. No doubt about it. So we will continue hoping for that. Real quick, because you mentioned Candace Owens before. Not so much about her that I want to talk about, but real quick, some thoughts on the Charlie Kirk case. The other night, when the pretrial began, we started coming up. I was just going through some of the things that were being brought up in the trial, some of the developments with the video evidence, closed caption television footage, and all that was being submitted as evidence that was being denied because there was some compilation editing going on and whatever. We were just going through all these. And of course, in a natural course of conversation with people calling in, everybody expressed their doubts and skepticism about various parts of the official story, if not the entirety of the official story. And the whole idea about Tyler Robinson being a patsy did come up. And the whole patsy idea, whether it's Oswald of our time or whatnot, is that's why I wanted to really observe him body language wise, statements made, whether he pleads guilty or not guilty, what the defense is really trying to prepare for, as for, if they're just trying to avoid the death penalty, if there's really no positioning themselves in a way to claim that there's innocence here, or if it's just, hey, we just want to make sure that he's in jail and not being killed by, you know, lethal injection or firing squad, whatever they have in Utah these days. So, but I haven't seen any pleads of innocence. I haven't seen any play, I'm being framed. I made me wonder, and I want to see what your theory is. To what, if he is a patsy, to what degree? Is he MK Ultra? Does he believe he did what he did, but somebody else pulled the trigger? Is he, or what? Because why take the fall if you don't think that you at least are in a position to take credit for something that you, in your mind, believe is a good thing? Charlie Kirk is dead. So I wonder about that aspect of the patsy theory. What can you give us on that?
Well, I'm like you with this one. With I want to watch how the game plays out before I know exactly, because now we're going to start actually being able to observe Tyler Robinson. But right off the bat, he's being railroaded, right? So right off the bat, they get us emotional about wanting the death penalty. And on my show at the time, I said, you know, I do believe in capital punishment. I said, okay, if he did it, then he should do it. But then that was probably right in the beginning. But even the very beginning, I had doubts, you know, with the BS text messages. And
those were weird.
Was disassembled? Was that really him in the video? Why the hell is he in this Wendy's right down the street? I actually live in the same county as Utah Valley University, so you know, I own property not too far from there actually. So it's like it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, my BS meter always goes up. You know, and everyone should, no matter who the target is. I mean, the assassination of President Trump, you know, they scrubbed the roof. You know, it's just the whole thing was wacky, and they said it wasn't Thomas Crooks, and that was just absolute you know, BS. I don't believe you know, I believe he was in on it. And I think that they were trying to do that with Tyler Robinson. I think that was the attempt, to have Tyler Robinson there and be the patsy for it, but he's not the one who did it. So the fact that I think it's pretty obvious, some people, even in my community, you know, we call ourselves like the BCB family, and we sit around the Thanksgiving table and we argue. At the end of the day, we kiss and make up. But you know, he wasn't killed by a 30-06. He didn't, you know, doesn't have Superman vertebrae that stopped the bullet. Oh, what bullet? We haven't seen any signs of a bullet. So just the whole thing is wonky. And I think that he's a patsy. I think somehow he thinks he was involved in something else. And when the first, it even tell you, like, just the propaganda, the first news I saw on this, you know, going into the trial was, you know, what does Erica Kirk have to say? And Don Jr. is going to be in attendance. And then, oh, he was laughing. Look, that doesn't mean diddly squat to me. Let's say I went on trial for something ridiculous. Let's say I went on trial for being the head of the Ku Klux Klan, right? And I'm sitting there, and they're making opening arguments, or about to make opening arguments, about how I spearheaded the advancement of the Aryan cause from Alabama down to the Florida Keys. I'm gonna laugh because that's ridiculous. I'm gonna laugh because I'm nervous, because that's ridiculous. But I have a whole state and the state, you know, meaning the state of Utah and the federal government, out to get me. So you're right. I want to observe his body language, but I want to do that over time, throughout the as this trial, and I'm doing that in air quotes. Can your audience see me on camera?
They can see it.
All right, yeah. So I'm doing air quotes because you know, the trial, you know, some might want to call it kangaroo court or whatever. So I want to see how it plays out. But at this point, I really don't know what to think about Tyler Robinson. I got to be honest, because he doesn't act like either a person that really understands the seriousness of what's happening to him. It could be MK Ultra. You know, the whole thing, the Twigs fellow quickly being dismissed and being protected. It's just, the whole thing is wacky. And here's the thing that I tell my audience all the time about conspiracy theories, is that the other side, the establishment, the people that are giving us the lies, the people behind the conspiracy theory, always put on us this honest task of, okay, you reject our official narrative, then what is the alternative narrative that is true? And it's a straw man argument, right? Because just because I say that your narrative is false, why I don't have the burden of proof of proving what is actually true because I don't have all of the information. So that's how they always fight against. They always fight against conspiracy theories. They say, okay, if our theory isn't true, prove your alternate theory, and that's a false argument. All I know is that the narrative that they've given us is a complete pile of BS, and I know that it's BS, but I'm not really sure on many of the aspects what really happened.
Mhm.
And that's how they blow up people. I mean, blow up figuratively. That's how they blow up folks like us that push back against the narrative. Is when we suggest, well, it could be this. They poke holes in our argument, but we don't have all the data. We're just giving other possibilities, and we can't go and commit ourselves down to one possibility because we don't have all of the proof. For instance, was Charlie Kirk killed by a lapel mic? Was he even shot? Was he shocked? Was it who knows what it was? Was it the guy acting like this? Was it the two people behind giving the signals? I mean, it all looks like that's all possible, but we don't know. We don't know. Was he alive when he got in the SUV and then they snuffed him out in there? I mean, we don't know. Like, we just don't know. We don't know. But what I do know is the narrative that they're giving us isn't true. That's that much I know.
You know, it does. It is one of those recurring things where a lot of people, and they become a little bit more vociferous about their stance. Some people are a little bit more vociferous than others. They're a little bit more loud and a little bit more, hey, listen, this is something I'm working on and I'm convinced of this, and this is exactly how it happens. There's a lot of other people who are just on the fence or confused. And I said it the other night because I don't know what the hell happened. I have my doubts about certain aspects of the story. Then again, I know that a story can't all just be thrown out because a few things don't seem to add up. Sometimes those things that don't add up can lead to the falling apart of the entire narrative, no doubt about it. But at the same time, all I know is that there was an incredible political toll that was taken. There was a lot of interest, whether this is really just, if this kid, Tyler Robinson, really acted on his own and this is all there is to the story, then he did a incredible favor for some very, very powerful groups who would love to see a young, attractive, especially from a standpoint of a sociopolitically attractive person, not only a kingmaker, like we said, but a potential future king, to be removed from the situation. So there are a lot of people who gained so much more from his removal from the earth than just this supposedly this guy who had a transvestite boyfriend and thought that Charlie Kirk posed a threat to his alternative lifestyle in some way. I don't know, but like you said, it's one of those things where you just gotta take a look at it. And I'm interested. I'm just really going to be watching his body language because I have not seen any. Oswald was protesting and declaring his being a patsy up until the moment that Jack Ruby took him out. And we're seeing almost like a calm acceptance. It doesn't seem like a zonked out, hypnotized acceptance. I'm looking for any kind of signs of SSRIs, of anything that looks like hypnosis at play. Doesn't seem that way so far, but we're going to check it out because, of course, like all things in our time, we are so lucky to be here to witness some strange things. And I want to shift now to culture because there's one thing I've seen. Of course, we're coming out of 4th of July, and I just want to get a little bit 250 thoughts, but especially when it comes from the standpoint, the Marxist perspective of what has been done to everybody, especially along identity lines. We know that white liberals have had a very unique kind of trauma inflicted on them since they were very, very young. I mean, we all have, but some people, the programming takes root a lot stronger and they become dyed-in-the-wool white liberals who are just infested with self-loathing, white guilt. Of course, the only cure for the fake woes of the free world is socialism, because that makes all of the injustices of the last 500 years go away, apparently, by stealing from people who work and giving it to people who have had another kind of trauma inflicted on them, and that is learned helplessness. And that is where we see a majority of black and brown demographics that are laid claim to by Democrats and socialists alike and all that stuff. And man, James, the shit I've seen coming out of people is really just incredible. You write down, and we won't even. I'll wait until to bring up the Ebonics standpoint of the whole thing. But tell us a little bit, as a black man, as a black American, when you look at what the prevailing cultural linchpin of the perspective of America, good, bad, or ugly, what is it? What the hell sets you off the most as somebody who's obviously very successful and independent thinking, not part of that herd at all, but it's getting worse out there.
Yeah, it's bad, and it seems to be getting worse. And of course, those voices are amplified, and they're amplified every 4th of July and every Thanksgiving, and this being the 250th, this being the 250th Independence Day. Well, I say celebration over the last several weeks, and I think somewhat will continue for a little bit while longer. I think those voices have been amped up, but this is how I became. Let me give you the 90-second story of how I became a conservative. I already mentioned how I came from a very strong Democrat family, Union Democrat, JFK type of Democrat. I was a freshman at UC Berkeley, and this was during I think it's during my 3rd semester there, or 2nd semester, excuse me. I actually did a semester as a high school student. So, but it was before my 19th birthday. My birthday's in June. I remember it being sometime in the spring, and the weather was nice. And out on Sproul Plaza in UC Berkeley is where you have all the student groups. So you have like the Korean Christians and the Hare Krishnas and the There's No God philosophy majors at Berkeley. You have everything, right? So it's always actually fun and entertaining and enlightening and educational to talk to a whole bunch of people. So I'm walking through Sproul Plaza on my way to class, and this beautiful, remember we used to call them co-eds from our parents and grandparents. So that's such a funny term to me. Anyway, this beautiful blonde white girl comes up to me, and I'm 18, and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to what she has to say. She's good looking, and she says, because she was trying to pitch something that was student oriented. She goes, "Hey, are you a student here?" I go, I got my backpack on and my skateboard. I'm like, yeah, I'm a student here. She goes, "Oh, that's so awesome that they let you in because you're black."
Oh,
dude, I was like, what? For the record, it's not like I'm tooting my horn. I went to a mostly white school. My parents wanted to make sure we were working class, but my parents made sure that we lived in a good neighborhood, where all my friends lived in these nice homes. We lived in an apartment. Coming from New York City, not a big deal. I was in an apartment, as in New York City. For those not familiar, I'm from Spanish Harlem. 113th and 3rd Avenue over by the Jefferson Pool. But anyway, my parents made that sacrifice so I could be in a good school district. So I was graduated from San Marcos High School in northern San Diego County. At that time, predominantly white school, and I was toward the top of my class. There were like 6 of us that got into Berkeley from the top of our class. So I didn't come from some disadvantaged school system. I went to school with white and Chinese and Hispanic kids, and there was nothing disadvantaged about me. But when she saw me, this is a white girl, as a black person, she just saw me automatically as being disadvantaged and some lowering of standards, and allowing me to come. They allowed me to come to UC Berkeley because I'm black. That was the first thing out of her mind, and that's when I started to realize that there is a more of a racism coming from liberals. Now, I'm not one of those conservatives that thinks that all liberals are racist, because there have been injustices, and some people realize that. But as a blanket statement, most liberals are racist because they do not see me as an equal. They see me as a black, and I'm also half Puerto Rican, right? So they see black and Latinos as not good as them, or Asians, because you never hear this pandering to Asians. And once again, they have a great culture when it comes to education. So what I'm seeing right now is just an amping up of what I realized when I was 18 years old that opened my mind to like, maybe this liberal side isn't really for me. They see me as less than. And but think about the brainwashing with social media, with the internet, with other means that they've been able to actually push their lies about America and the hateful America onto the masses. The white guilt and the white hate has been crazy. I was screaming in 2008 at many of my white conservative friends that voted for Obama because they wanted to tell their children that they voted for the first black president. Biracial, by the way, but I guess we're not supposed to talk about that.
Yeah, no.
The first black president, like literally gave up the thing. They literally casted a vote for Obama because they wanted to vote for a black guy. I'm like, white guilt much? Here I'm a black guy telling people this guy, look at Jeremiah Wright, can't remember the name of his pastor, and all these people surrounding him. We know nothing. I go, this guy looks like some kind of CIA creation, and he's a leftist. Like, and I'm screaming. I have family members that didn't talk to me for years, almost the entire first Obama administration. I had someone in my family dear to me. They didn't even talk to me because I was so vocal against Obama. But it's the brainwashing that's always been the divide and conquer, divide us and put us into little cute little boxes based on our race, but always looking down on black and brown people. And let me be transparent, Frank. I was born and raised my first half of my childhood in Harlem. Spanish Harlem, it wasn't gentrified back then, pretty, I'm gonna say humble circumstances because I love America so much. I don't believe that you're poor in America. I just believe that you're broke because you can always change your fortune because this is a country of opportunity. Not everyone's gonna make it, but everyone has an opportunity to make it, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, or any of that stuff. But here I am. I'm a black man, supposedly, disadvantaged. And what am I? I'm a multimillionaire. I own several businesses. I own several homes. I have a 9-car collection of 4 or 5 exotic cars. Like my healthcare company did really well during COVID. My other companies have done very well. This is a land of opportunity. And to say that we're a racist society when we had a black president, when we have the best Supreme Court justice right now is Clarence Thomas. Some of the greatest minds of this country have been black and women and Latino. And it's just ridiculous in this day and age to use that as an excuse. And then, of course, this whole idea of slavery. I am so over the whining and the bitching and everything about slavery. Obviously, slavery was bad. We weren't the only ones who did it. The word slave comes, if I'm correct, comes from the same root as Slavs. Who did the white slave traders buy the slaves from? African slave traders. It's just the whole thing is ridiculous. But the indigenous people, we took over their land. The indigenous people enslaved each other. The Native Americans enslaved each other. The Aztec nation that came from originally before that from the Aztlan, they were enslaving the Tlaxcalans and others. Like slavery has always existed. It's not a white phenomena. So let's get over that. And it hasn't existed for years, and it is not an excuse for all of the woes. That's how I feel about it, Frank.
I know you can go on for a lot longer too. And I wanted to just jump in on a few things you're saying there. Working from the back, though, you're talking about an extreme form of ignorance, especially when it comes to the white liberals. Like you would never. They never would understand that what they have going for them is they have found a way to rationalize their racism into almost like a superpower. This is I have to be very maternal and paternal about these poor black and brown people who really they would never be able to do it on their own. And I'm the government whisperer because I as a person who has white privilege, I can find a way to lead them to prosperity by way of government mandate because they would never be able to compete in a white society. They're sick. They can't see it. But again, this is what so many people were taught from pre-K. There's really no education in pre-K. There is just making sure that people remain infants for as long as possible. And I was watching, as far as the whole slavery thing, yes, last night we were having a laugh. It's not all funny because I remember this popping up in the 1990s too, when when schools were trying to teach black kids what they called Ebonics. Well, they have I forget what the more intellectual the title for Ebonics is now, African English dialect or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just all about how to make sure that how to essentially instill functional illiteracy into children. So not only is the history bad and all bullshit and backwards and all that stuff, but they can't even go out into the world and be able to articulately represent their own interests, let alone go and get a well-to-do job or something like that. And with the slavery thing, I know this is just really one of those things where it's becoming more of a conversation that we have amongst ourselves and maybe in certain debate forums, in hopes that one day down the line, somebody who is open-minded enough to want to learn will find it and say, I want to look a little bit more into that. Like, how are we being screwed with right here with all this negativist teaching of history? Because honestly, if you really look at the average street interview these days, you're lucky to get a person, black, white, whatever the hell it is. You are lucky to get a person to be able to name even 25 states, let alone 50. I mean, but at the same end, these people who can't read, they can't write, they don't know their ass from their elbow when it comes to basic history of the world or the country that they were born in. But there's no end to the vague references of slavery. So nobody really understands 19th century antebellum South. They don't understand the political, the socioeconomic portions of the day, the geopolitical. They don't understand why the Civil War was fought. All of the aspects of it, everything is distilled into one pathetic pacifier, and the pacifier is, say, slavery, and that everything nearly 200 years later now, all of my personal failures is because of this thing that was prevalent in the country 200 years prior. That's why I can't get a job. That's why I can't own a car. That's why I can't do it. It's so pathetic. And all I hope is
that's why you don't marry your baby mama. You don't raise your kids. You slang crack. Or if you're talking about the urban mentality, it's a reason why. But what's crazy about that is whatever is an excuse for one person is a driving force for another. But yeah, I'm just tired of it, Frank.
I think everybody is. I think everybody is.
Yeah. It's just like, it just come at me at this point. Come at me with anything, but don't come at me with slavery, because then it's a non-starter. I can't have a debate with you because to use a phrase from our duly elected president, Donald John Trump, that's a low IQ place to start any sort of debate or argument or conversation.
It is. It's awful. It's awful. And thankfully there are many things that I'm really thankful for. I was saying it the other night, when I look at how many countless people on the internet are all in agreement that so many things are worse now than they were when we were growing up. That is the quality of products and services, the stability of the dollar, just the quality in the media, how everybody seems to be just scammy and inauthentic. That all of the family time that we have, whatever, that things are going downhill. I don't take any kind of I don't look at that as something that is necessarily bad, because we've all seen that quality's been dipping for many years now. But to see people rejecting, just saying, I'm tired of things sucking, and that right there is, I think, a really great thing. To see that people are tired of the excuses, they're tired of just accepting low-level nonsense, overpriced, low-level, shitty nonsense as what we are supposed to expect out of our lives. And I think that is just one step away from people making really radical choices that go away from institutional nonsense and more into our natural state, more into the healthy social environments that we're craving, the friendships, the block parties, the patriotism. People want to feel good about things again. It is not natural for us to constantly be in this fight or flight, free floating depression environment. It's not natural. And I think that the fact that so many people are identifying that and rejecting it out of hand, maybe they don't have the solution yet, but we are just one or two decisions away from getting together and having that block party again. And that gives me hope.
Yeah, awareness is the first place, the first thing that has to happen for any kind of meaningful change to happen. And I think you make a great point, and a very optimistic point, Frank, that the mass awareness starting to happen, and I'm looking forward to the barbecue.
Well, to end then, let me ask you this. Financial forecasting, this is of course your forte. I got two of your books here. Paid on the First, and of course, Lead Your Family Like a Rockstar CEO. So much, and they're simple reads. There's such great stuff in here. Let me ask you this, because I'm not holding my breath right now for the elimination of the income tax any day now. I think that would be the ultimate payday for people to just keep what they earn.
Keep the fruits of your labor. Absolutely.
Exactly. But in the meantime, as we leave, could you, I don't know, what's one or two tricks of income earners of all tax brackets rarely take advantage of, you believe, that would massively improve or at least noticeably improve their life in the meantime?
Okay. I don't know about casting a wide net, but since I come from a working class family, that was my upbringing. Anyone who is working class, meaning they're an employee, they're W-2, they're getting absolutely hosed, because what happens is Uncle Sam in your state, you got your FICA, your PUCA, your Social Security, every tax is taken off the top, and then you have to live off of what's left over, and then you get taxed on what's left over as well. I mean, forget double taxation, we're triple taxation, right? So you gotta pay property tax. If you live like in California and other places, you've got they add tax upon tax. Just read here, didn't even realize this, that in California, when cities add a tax to the gas, they add a tax to the final bill, including when the state has already taxed. So the 56 cents on every gallon that the state of California, plus whatever the gas tax is, the city then gets a tax on top of those two together. So we're getting tax upon tax upon tax. So what I say is this, is if you are a W-2 employee, you must have a side hustle, a business, because what happens is, this is the place to start to think properly. One of the places to start. I don't want to be making definitive statements like that, but one of the great places to start is your finances, is get your taxes under control, because that is literally your biggest bill. If you start a legitimate, I'm not talking about just something to evade taxes, we're talking about tax avoidance, not tax evasion, is start a business, start a side hustle, start something, because what happens is when you are either a 1099 or you start your own business, the tax codes were written for business owners. What happens is now, instead of you pay taxes off the top and live off of what's left, you get all of your money, then you take deductions, and then you pay taxes on what's left over. It is a huge difference. And if you're a W-2 employee, you can use your 1099 and your side hustle income to offset the taxes you pay as a W-2 employee. I think once people lock into that and start to see it, and there's all kinds of ways, even with very limited time, that you can have side hustles. That's what my next book is about. It's the multiple lane system. Is the when you realize that and you start to see how much money you're actually taxed before you even see it. I think that is a place where a lot of people should start, because most people are W-2 employees and they are essentially tax slaves. We're all tax slaves, but they're the field tax slaves. If we're going to continue the theme of slavery in this conversation, that's the real slavery, is tax slavery. And if you want to jump from being the house, at least you can jump into being the house slave when you have something to offset your W-2 income and all the taxes that they get at you. That's theoretically and practically the advice I would give to most people.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just making little tiny changes, man, because the big ones, well, that's something that's going to happen to us, I guess. I don't know. Anything else you is on your mind? Anything else you want to throw out there? Any parting shots? I'm just happy that we got to talk
Well,
together for an hour.
so to talk in business, one way not to get crushed. I did this even when I was broke. My wife and I got married in college, had our first two kids before I even graduated. So I'm working full time, going to school full time. My wife doesn't work. She's raising my two babies, which one of which has given me a baby, which is awesome. Her and her husband are awesome. But the thing is this is live by the 10-10-80 rule. That is something that really will relieve stress in 10 months to a year. And what that rule is you tithe 10%. Now, if you're not religious, that tithing could be to a good cause, to your church, synagogue, whatever cause you believe in. And then 10% goes immediately into savings and investment. I say in the beginning just goes to savings. Put it in something that earn you something, but money that you don't spend, money that you're saving. If you think about this, of the 100% of money that you have, if you're able to save 10% in 10 months, you have 1 month of your expenses covered. So if you have an emergency, you have some breathing room. And it also instills in someone a discipline, so they're not living paycheck to paycheck. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Maybe you can't have Netflix, Prime, HBO Max, and Disney Plus. Maybe it's just Disney Plus. I don't know. Maybe you can't eat out and you got to start doing sack lunches. These are all sacrifices that, with my family I made. We didn't eat out. We rented. I was one of the first people to use Netflix and Redbox. Didn't go to the movies. And I'm a big movie fan. I now go to the movies once or twice a week in the theaters with popcorn and the whole thing because I love movies. But you make sacrifices. If you're struggling, and you find yourself living paycheck to paycheck, another thing to do is just do the 10-10-80 rule. Do at least the 10-90 rule. 10% of your money off the top, not at the end. The first 10% goes to tithing. The next 10% goes to savings. Just put it somewhere where it's not easily accessible. Not in the same bank where you have your checking account. Put it in a credit union. I like credit unions more than banks. Put it in a credit union. And by the way, this is coming from a person that used to be a vice president at the Federal Savings Bank. So I still like credit unions more than banks. Go over and just do everything you can to live by the 10-10-80 rule, the very least the 10-90 rule. In 10 months from now, you'll be very happy that you did.
Well, James, let's do this again soon, my friend. Let's do this again soon. Where should people find you now? I know that you post to your Patreon. I know that you keep your Rumble active. You're not doing nearly as much streaming and content creation as you were in the past, but you haven't disappeared. You're doing a lot more publishing. So where should people hang out?
If you want to see my political content, go to bcpextras.com or therealbcp.com. My YouTube show is called I'm getting confused. That's called the bcpextras.com, and therealbcp.com is where I have my show, the BCP podcast. That is where I'm unfiltered and I give you the truth without any sort of censorship because it's on Patreon and Locals. If you want to see me, it's the BCP Report on YouTube. I'm not very active on YouTube, literally maybe 1 or 2 shows a week, maybe sometimes. I'm just not into the YouTube censorship anymore. I'm over it. So that's the best place to find me. And I have my name is James Lyles. I know for a long time people didn't even know I was James. My name is James Lyles the third, Roman numeral 3. I also have a business channel on YouTube that I'm going to be putting more content on, like this 10-10-80 rule and how to beat the W-2 taxation. You'll see more content like that. If you want to see me talking about more about things like that, then check out my James Lyles, Lyles, III, Roman numeral 3, for that kind of content. And if you want to get my book, it's free. Just cover shipping and handling. paidonthefirst.com.
paidonthefirst.com. All right, James, have a great day and all the best to you and the family. Thanks for the time, man.
All right. Big hug and kiss to Laura and the whole family. We'll catch up soon.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you offline, but I may be in the city in a few months.
Oh, well, I mean, okay. Well, if you're going to be in the city, then you got to be in the studio. So let's figure that out.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, and also I save the date from now. I don't know if it's possible, but October 23rd, 2027, next October, I'm having the next big jamboree. No fall event this year because the baby will be arriving in early November. So, but you have over a year now to plan to try to be in the area, because I'm sure a lot of people would love to take a picture with you and shake your hand. So think about it.
All right, sounds good. I'll tell. Text me the dates, and I'll have Soraya, my assistant, put it on the calendar for next year.
Wonderful. You got a wonderful assistant, by the way. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
Be well. All right, guys and gals.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. So here we go. What do you think? It's a lot. And hey, I love that that BCP has a one of those non-tribalist views on things. He is over the years, there was nobody bigger, a bigger fan than BCP for Donald Trump. So I know just from knowing him for years, he wants him to be successful, and I understand the position he's in, because it's a position that many of you are in. Optimistic, no doubt. You can't go through life slouched shoulders saying, what the hell's the point? You could be surprised at any turn. And we are not on the inside. We are not on the inside, but there will be a revealing. At the end of every turn, there is an apocalypse, and we are able to assess just what we got out of it, and just what was window dressing and what was real. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat room here. What's going on, Ginster? Great show. Bill Cooper. I don't want to be on the inside, to AC. Yes, I know. Who knows? Who knows what the inside even looks like these days? But yeah. So it's going to be a nice night. And those of you who are watching right now, when it's being premiered, it's a little bit after 8 o'clock, which means that the bands have just begun over there at the Cutting Room down in New York City. So anytime after this, I might be going live. So just make sure that your notifications are on and that everybody is having themselves a good time. And I will see you Friday morning live right here from Studio B to have our iced coffee and to talk a little bit and watch some reels and take some calls and everything else. But thank you all so much. Thank you to James, and become a sponsor of Quite Frankly on quitefrankly.tv/sponsor. You can sign up anywhere to be part of the Culture Club, and we're going to be watching Idiocracy as part of the watch party on Friday the 17th. On Monday the 13th, we are going to be officially kicking off Huckleberry Finn after a week delay that has never happened before and will never happen again. But it was a rough end of the weekend, and things just didn't work out. Become a part of the Culture Club. The books and the movies alone are fantastic. You want to talk about making human connections again? Connect to literature, connect to cinema, watch it and read it with other real people. It feels fantastic. And if you want to become something more than just a Culture Club member, then find me on Patreon. Patreon.com/Quite Frankly. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you on Friday. Be well.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
That's it. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night.